The knock came at 20 Notre Dame, 3 soft taps that seemed to echo through the silence of his hotel room. Alex Foster froze, his fingers hovering over his laptop keyboard, the spreadsheet he'd been working on forgotten in an instant. Nobody knew he was here except her. He glanced at his phone. 3 missed calls from Sophia Wright, CEO of Wright Innovations and his direct boss for the past 18 months. The woman who could make or break his career with a single word. The woman he'd been trying desperately not to think about for months. When he opened the door, there she stood in the dim hallway light. Sophia Wright in a simple black dress, her long silky white, blonde hair cascading over her shoulders, holding a bottle of expensive red wine and 2 glasses. Her blue eyes, usually sharp with business acumen, now held something different, something vulnerable. "Can I come in?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "We need to talk." What Alex didn't know as he stepped aside to let her in was that this late night visit would completely transform both their lives, and that by morning, one of them would make a decision that could never be undone. Alex had been with Wright Innovations for 5 years, but it was only when Sophia took over as CEO, following her father's retirement, that he truly began to shine. His innovative marketing strategies caught her attention, earning him a series of rapid promotions. Now at 34, he was the company's youngest ever marketing director, reporting directly to her. Their professional relationship was marked by mutual respect and occasional tension, the good kind that pushed both of them to excel. "I'm sorry for the hour," Sophia said, placing the wine and glasses on the small table by the window. The city lights twinkled below, a constellation of human activity even at this late hour. "But after what happened in today's meeting, I couldn't sleep." Alex ran a hand through his dark hair, acutely aware he was wearing only sweatpants and a faded t-shirt. "The Peterson account," he said, understanding immediately. "The Peterson account," she confirmed, her fingers working the cork free with practiced ease. "You went against my direct instructions, Alex." Earlier that day, during a crucial meeting with their biggest potential client, Alex had abandoned the conservative approach Sophia had insisted upon. Instead, he'd presented his own bold strategy, one she had explicitly rejected the night before. The room had fallen silent when he'd finished, and Sophia's face had been unreadable. But then Peterson had smiled, reached across the table, and shaken Alex's hand. "This is exactly what we need," he'd said. "This is why we're choosing Wright Innovations. I got us the account," Alex said, now accepting the glass she offered. "You undermined me in front of a client," she countered, her eyes flashing. "And the entire executive team. I got results." "At what cost?" She took a sip of wine, studying him over the rim of her glass. "Trust is everything in this business, Alex, not just with clients, but between colleagues." What Sophia didn't say, couldn't say, was how much it had hurt to watch him disregard her judgment so completely. What Alex didn't say was that he'd spent the entire day terrified he'd be fired. Not just for the professional risk, but because the thought of not seeing her every day made his chest ache in ways he couldn't explain. "I believed in my strategy," he said finally. "Sometimes you have to take risks, like inviting your boss to your hotel room at 20 Notre Dame," she asked, the ghost of a smile playing at her lips. "You invited yourself," he pointed out, returning her smile with one of his own. "Though I can't say I mind the company." The air between them shifted, charged with something neither was ready to name. "Tell me about Emma," Sophia said, suddenly changing the subject. "How's she handling the new school?" The mention of his 7-year-old daughter brought both warmth and pain to Alex's expression. "She's adjusting. It's been 3 years since her mom died, but new places are still hard for her." He paused, swirling the wine in his glass. "That's why I can't lose this job, Sophia. It's not just about me." Sophia moved to the window, looking out at the city below. "I would never fire my best marketing director over one act of insubordination," she said quietly. "No matter how infuriating, even if he's a single dad who works too much and sometimes forgets important meetings because his daughter has a dance recital." Alex asked, the vulnerability in his voice surprising them both. "Especially then," she said, turning to face him. "Family comes first, Alex, always." What Alex didn't know was that Sophia had grown up watching her father sacrifice everything, including his marriage to her mother, for Wright Innovations. She had sworn never to repeat his mistakes, even as she followed in his professional footsteps. As the night deepened, they moved from the business at hand to more personal territories. Sophia spoke of the pressure of taking over her father's company, of proving herself worthy of the right name. Alex shared stories of raising Emma alone, of the terror and joy that came with being solely responsible for another human life. "She sounds wonderful," Sophia said, her face soft with genuine interest. "You've done an amazing job with her. She'd like you," Alex replied, surprised by how certain he felt about this. "She has a thing for strong women, who know what they want, like father, like daughter." Sophia teased, raising an eyebrow. Alex laughed, a warm sound that seemed to fill the small hotel room. "I walked right into that one, didn't I?" "You did," she agreed, her smile reaching her eyes. It's one of the things She stopped herself, looking suddenly uncertain. One of the things you what? Alex prompted, his heart beating faster. Sophia set down her glass. One of the things I've always appreciated about you, your ability to laugh at yourself. It's rare in our industry. But there was something in her eyes that suggested she'd been about to say something else entirely. The conversation flowed easily between them, punctuated by moments of comfortable silence. They discovered shared tastes in music, a mutual love for obscure foreign films, and a common addiction to true crime podcasts. With each revelation, the professional boundaries between them seemed to blur further. You know, Alex said, refilling their glasses with the last of the wine. For someone who came here to reprimand me, you're doing a terrible job. Maybe that's not why I came, Sophia admitted, her voice soft. Alex's breath caught. Then why did you? Before she could answer, his phone rang. The special ringtone he'd set for the babysitter. His face immediately tensed as he grabbed it. Melissa, is everything okay? Sophia watched as his expression shifted from concern to alarm. I'll be right there, he said, ending the call and already moving toward his suitcase. Emma's running a high fever, he explained, pulling out clothes. The babysitter says she's asking for me. Go, Sophia said, immediately standing. Yes, that would help a lot. As they rode through the quiet city streets, a strange intimacy settled between them. Sophia's hand found his in the darkness of the back seat, a silent gesture of support that meant more than words could express. When they reached Alex's apartment building, he turned to her, conflict evident in his eyes. Go to your daughter, she said gently. We'll finish our conversation another time. What neither of them said was that something fundamental had shifted between them that night, something that couldn't be undone or ignored. When morning came, 3 days later, Emma's fever had broken and Alex was back at work, buried in the Peterson account details when his office door opened. Sophia stood there as composed and elegant as always, in a tailored white suit that contrasted beautifully with her fair skin. How's Emma? She asked, closing the door behind her. Much better, Alex replied, unable to stop the smile that spread across his face at the sight of her. Thank you for the stuffed bear. She hasn't put it down since it arrived. I'm glad she likes it. Sophia hesitated, then took a seat across from his desk. Alex, about the other night. We don't have to talk about it. He interrupted, suddenly afraid of what she might say. It was late. We'd both had a long day. I came to your hotel room because I couldn't stop thinking about you, she said, her words cutting through his deflection. Not as your boss, but as a woman who is increasingly distracted by a man she shouldn't be noticing. The confession hung in the air between them, changing everything and nothing all at once. Sophia, Alex began, his voice rough with emotion. There are 1,000 reasons why this is complicated. I know, she agreed. The company, our positions, your daughter, my family's expectations. And yet here you are, he said softly. And yet here I am, she echoed, her blue eyes meeting his without wavering. What followed was a delicate dance of professional boundaries and personal desires. They agreed to keep their growing feelings private while they figured out what they meant and how to navigate them ethically. Sophia insisted on meeting with HR to disclose their relationship and recuse herself from decisions directly affecting Alex's position. Alex arranged for Sophia to meet Emma in a casual setting, wanting the two most important people in his life to know each other. Their first official date was at a small Italian restaurant far from the corporate headquarters. Sophia arrived in jeans and a simple blouse, her hair pulled back in a ponytail, a deliberate departure from her CEO persona. You look beautiful, Alex said, standing as she approached the table. You sound surprised, she teased, sliding into her seat. Not surprised, he corrected. Just I've never seen you like this before. Relaxed, off-duty. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? She asked, a hint of vulnerability in her question. Definitely good, he assured her, reaching across the table to take her hand. Though I'm equally fond of CEO Sophia, she's quite impressive. Careful, Mr. Foster, she warned playfully. Flattery will get you everywhere. Their banter flowed naturally throughout dinner, each discovering new facets of the other outside the office environment. Alex's sharp wit made her laugh more than she had in years, while Sophia's insightful observations about the world reminded him how truly brilliant she was. Tell me something no one at Wright Innovations knows about you, she challenged over dessert. Alex considered this, then smiled. I write children's stories for Emma. Have since she was born, nothing published just for her. Sophia's expression softened. That's incredibly sweet. Your turn, he prompted. She traced the rim of her water glass, suddenly thoughtful. I never wanted to run my father's company, she admitted quietly. I wanted to be an architect, design spaces that would last for generations. What happened? Life, she said simply. My father's health declined. My brother wasn't interested in the business, and suddenly all those expectations landed on me. She shrugged, but Alex could see the weight of those expectations in the set of her shoulders. Do you regret it? He asked gently. Not anymore, she said, her eyes meeting his with newfound clarity. Some paths we choose, others choose us. The trick is finding joy, wherever you land. As weeks turned into months, they settled into a rhythm that worked for them. Professionally, they maintained appropriate boundaries, their interactions at work respectful and focused on business. Privately, they built something neither had expected to, find a partnership based on mutual respect, genuine affection and growing love. Emma, with a child's intuitive wisdom, accepted Sophia's presence in their lives with surprising ease. She makes you smile more, Daddy, she observed one evening after Sophia had left their apartment following dinner. I like when you smile. The real test came 6 months into their relationship when Wright Innovations faced a crisis that threatened the company's future. A competitor had launched a surprise hostile takeover attempt and the board was divided on how to respond. Sophia worked around the clock, the strain evident in the dark circles under her eyes and the tension in her voice. Alex supported her however he could, both professionally and personally, but the pressure took its toll on them both. Late one night alone in her office, Sophia made a decision that would either save the company or destroy everything her family had built. When she called Alex to tell him, his response was immediate and unwavering. I believe in you, he said simply. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. Those words spoken without hesitation were what she needed to hear. The next morning, she presented her strategy to the board, a bold, innovative approach that leveraged the company's strengths in unexpected ways. It was risky, but it was also brilliant. As the votes were tallied, Sophia felt Alex's presence across the room, his quiet confidence bolstering her own. When the final vote came in supporting her plan, their eyes met briefly across the boardroom, a private moment of connection amid the professional victory. The plan worked. 3 weeks later, the takeover attempt had been defeated and Wright Innovations emerged stronger than before. The night they received confirmation of their success, Alex took Sophia to dinner at the same Italian restaurant where they'd had their first date. To the most brilliant CEO I know, he toasted, raising his glass. To partnerships, she countered, clinking her glass against his. Professional and otherwise. After dinner, they walked along the riverfront, the city lights reflecting on the water. When they reached a quiet spot away from the crowds, Alex stopped, turning to face her. These past months have been the happiest of my life, he said, his voice steady despite the nervous energy she could feel radiating from him. You've become essential to me, Sophia, to us, Emma and me. Alex, she began, her heart racing as she sensed what was coming. I'm not asking for an answer tonight, he continued, reaching into his pocket and withdrawing a small velvet box. But I am asking you to consider a merger of a more permanent nature. When he opened the box, the ring inside was exactly what she would have chosen for herself. Elegant, understated, with a single perfect diamond that caught the light from the city around them. I love you, he said simply, both as the formidable CEO who challenges me professionally and as the woman who has become my best friend and partner. Whatever comes next, I want to face it together. Tears filled Sophia's eyes as she looked from the ring to the man holding it. You know this will complicate everything, she said, her practical nature asserting itself even as her heart soared. Some complications are worth it, he replied, his smile reaching his eyes. What do you say, Miss Wright, ready to take another risk with me? Her answer came not in words, but in action as she stepped forward, framing his face with her hands and kissing him with all the emotion she'd once kept carefully contained. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, she whispered her answer against his lips. Yes. 2 months before their wedding, disaster struck in a way neither could have anticipated. Emma's school called Alex in the middle of an important presentation. His daughter had collapsed during recess and been rushed to the hospital. By the time he arrived, breathless and terrified, Sophia was already there, having dropped everything the moment she heard. What happened? Alex demanded, finding Sophia in the waiting room, her normally perfect composure fractured with worry. The doctors are running tests, she said, immediately taking his hands in hers. They mentioned something about her heart, but they're being cautious until they know more. The next 48 hours became a blur of hospital corridors, hushed conversations with doctors, and the steady, terrifying beep of medical equipment. Emma was diagnosed with a rare congenital heart condition that had gone undetected until now. She would need surgery, complex, risky surgery that insurance would only partially cover. Late that night, as Emma finally slept, sedated, and connected to monitors, Alex stepped into the hallway and broke down. The weight of potential loss, of financial worry, of sheer helplessness crashed over him in waves. He slid down the wall to the floor, his body shaking with silent sobs. He didn't hear Sophia approach until she was kneeling beside him, her arms wrapping around his shoulders. I can't lose her, he whispered, his voice raw. She's everything. You won't, Sophia said with such conviction that he almost believed her. We won't. The specialist they want, he's in Boston. The cost. Don't, she interrupted firmly. Don't even think about that. Emma will have the best care possible. Whatever it takes. Alex pulled back slightly, looking into her eyes. I can't ask you to. You're not asking, I'm telling, she said, her tone brooking. No argument. This is what family does, Alex. And we are family now, the three of us, whether there's a ring on my finger yet or not. In that sterile hospital hallway, with his world threatening to collapse around him, Alex saw something in Sophia he'd always sensed but never fully understood until now. A fierce, protective love that matched his own for Emma. This wasn't the calculated business decision of a CEO or the gesture of a woman trying to impress her fiancé. This was pure instinctive devotion. Within 24 hours, Sophia had arranged for the top pediatric cardiac surgeon in the country to fly in for a consultation. She'd set up a medical trust for Emma that would cover not just this surgery, but any future treatments she might need. When Alex tried to protest, she silenced him with a look that was pure CEO, right? Save your strength for Emma, she told him. Let me handle this part. The night before the surgery, they sat together at Emma's bedside. The little girl, pale but brave, looked between them with solemn eyes. Are you scared, Daddy? She asked, her small hand clutching his. Alex tried to smile reassuringly. A little bit, sweetheart, but the doctors are going to take very good care of you. Emma nodded, then turned to Sophia. Will you stay with Daddy tomorrow? So he's not alone. Sophia's composure nearly broke at the child's concern for her father, even as she faced major surgery. I promise, she said, her voice thick with emotion. I won't leave his side for a second. Good, Emma said with a decisive nod. He needs someone to take care of him too. Later, as Emma drifted off to sleep, Sophia and Alex stood by the window of the hospital room, their reflections ghostly in the darkened glass. She's worried about me, Alex said, disbelief and love mingling in his voice. My 7-year-old daughter is facing heart surgery, and she's worried about me. She's extraordinary, Sophia agreed softly, just like her father. Alex turned to her, taking both her hands in his. I need you to know something, he said, his voice low and intense. Whatever happens tomorrow, whatever happens with us, with the company, with anything, I will never forget what you've done. Not just the practical help, but being here, being strong when I couldn't be. Sophia shook her head, tears gathering in her eyes. This isn't about owing or remembering Alex. This is about love. I love Emma. I love you. There was never any other choice for me but to be here. The surgery lasted 9 hours. 9 hours of pacing, of coffee gone cold, of prayers whispered by a man who hadn't prayed since his wife's funeral. Through it all, Sophia remained exactly as she'd promised Emma, at Alex's side, her hand in his, her strength unwavering. When the surgeon finally appeared, his face tired but smiling, Alex felt his knees buckle. Sophia's arm around his waist was the only thing that kept him standing. She did beautifully. The doctor said her heart is strong. With proper care and monitoring, she should live a completely normal life. The relief was so profound that neither of them could speak for several moments. They stood there in the consultation room holding each other, tears flowing freely. She's gonna be okay. Alex finally whispered against Sophia's hair. Our girl is going to be okay. Sophia pulled back just enough to look into his eyes, her own shining with tears and something else, a certainty, a knowledge that transcended the fear and exhaustion of the past days. Yes, she said simply. She is. We all are. 1 year later, Alex stood in the doorway of their home, watching as Sophia helped Emma with her science project. His daughter's laughter mingled with his wife's, the sound filling their home with joy he once thought he'd never find again. The path hadn't been easy. Their marriage had required adjustments at Right Innovations, with Alex eventually moving to head a newly created subsidiary to avoid any conflict of interest. There had been raised eyebrows and whispered comments, but they had weathered it all together. What mattered most was this: the family they had built, the love they had found when neither was looking for it, and the future they were creating together. Sometimes the most unexpected knocks at your door bring exactly what you need, even if you don't realize it at the time. If you enjoyed this story of unexpected love and second chances, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming content that reminds us all that life's most beautiful moments often come when we least expect them. We'd love to know where you're watching from. Drop your country in the comments below and join our growing community of storytelling lovers.